Hi everyone, welcome to our training. And today we are going to talk about uh, a personal development topic. Is like lots of people, as you know, you got stuck, right? And you want to know how to get out of stuck. So part of understand why you're stuck, you have to raise your level of self-awareness. And the way to first thing you need to do is to understand your emotion. And sometimes we kind of really afraid to do that, but unless you're able to face your emotion and try to understand it and how that your emotion have impact your behavior and how that behavior is actually driven from maybe part of your past, like your emotion, like how to say, you almost have a memory that you build in when you're a child. So everything you ingrain since you're a child is gonna build in when you react to your environment. So
Mm.
that's why some of the emotion that you have, you don't know why it's so intense. It was because of your past, and that is gonna impact your behavior. So
Yeah.
unless you can face that, unless you actually explore your past, then you're not going to be able to fix anything. And I know it's kind of harsh, and I know it's not pretty, and I know some people say, hey, why do I need to study our past, just move forward, right? But if you didn't clean up your carpet, you just keep pushing stuff underneath your carpet, it's not any cleaner the house. You just build up more and more stress on your subconscious level, and at one point it will explode and will become a disease, like a mental illness. And so the second thing I want to talk about is how to let go of your past. But because before I want to pass it to Paul to ask him like um, what do you think about the importance of understanding your past? Like, how do you see it's gonna fit into getting you unstuck? Do you have any personal experience, or how do you approach it?
Yeah, I did, and I had quite a bit of a painful and different life experiences when I've been in different country, immigrated over here, and my past that might have a different emotional ties to it that I had an experience is always hunting me, like past relationship, like um, promises that I didn't fulfill, like some sort of unforgiveness that might happen in the life, prior. So there is so much more than hunting, and sort of a need to have that fully resolved. But yeah, what do you think of that, Vivian?
Yeah, I think that's a lot too. And I think that's why, like, when you try to understand a child and when you try to raise them up, try not to traumatize them because they're just kids and they will remember life. Like, no kidding, you say something when they're 3 years old, they will remember when you're 20 or when they are like 30 years old,
Yeah.
and it will have a great impact on it because I think when I was a child in my teens and adulthood, my family was kind of negative, and I think for a while I remember everything what they say,
Oh yeah.
but until I figured that out, what they say is not who I am. I'm
Mhm.
not what people say. I'm not what people say I'm worth. I have a worth that is incredible because I'm created in an image of God, that I'm a human being,
Yeah.
and so, and that there's no way you can please anybody. So you just have to kind of create your own worth, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you let go of your past? So
What?
well, first of all, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's exactly the question I would like to ask.
yeah. So first of all, you have to accept your past and be friend with your past. It sounds harsh, but you have to forgive yourself. And to do that is very difficult. But I will start with a journal.
Hmm.
Just bring down like all your negativity, what you think, da 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 da. Just air it out, and then you rewrite it. You rewrite it and try to understand you in the past, whether you're a 13 or 12 or 8 or 32 when that happened, and try to understand what that child is actually needing. So instead of saying that, remember people call you fat, you're like regulated what the child is feeling.
Yeah.
So you identify your emotion out of that negative phrase you say.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to say, so you start into the paper say, I feel ugly, or I feel useless. And then you done everything like that again on the second draft. And then you, as an adult, you kind of look back to your past. If
Yep.
that is your friend who is going through what you're going through,
Yep.
would you have the same judgment?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know with something like weight is a bit more sensitive, but honestly, isn't every child is lovely? And so when it's come to like really something personal, you may not be able to, as the adult person, to look back and actually see that it's not what you feel at that time. You can even say, like, to make it better, say, I know, I understand you were feeling ugly, but you're not ugly, because I understand that I have many good inner beauty that I'm worth get knowing. I have friends that support me, and if you don't, you just say, um, even though I don't have friends that support me, I know I have helped many people to lead a better life. I'm able to help a person to do this. So now you're gonna go into the process, think about what kind of things that I have contributed to the society. Did you help someone that is younger than you, give advice to a peer? Did you do something that is, I feel like you have a contribution? So it's like a different step, right? You identify your feeling, and then when you try to use a third person to see the child that the past that you have, you talk to your past and saying, it is not like this. If I were you, I wouldn't be judging you. Like if I were your parent, I wouldn't be judging you. That's just that. But when you hit a plateau, say that you have a block, like identify your block. So that next thing is identify about, let's say, ugly. Then it's like, oh, and then you try to bring in your inner beauty, your contribution to the society. So that way you're seeing how much you're contributing to the society, that you're not ugly at all, because it's all about your inner beauty. You're worth knowing. So slowly you're trained from, I'm feeling fat, I'm feeling ugly, to feeling really good. So it's like, it takes lots of writing to get it out, but if you're not a writing person, you can try recording your own audio and play it back if you want. But it's just easier to identify your feeling if you write out your brain down and then move it forward there. But it's a practice, so it takes time and effort, but it will be so worthwhile.
So that's one is was about, we need to be aware of emotion, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how to apply what I say to help you to accept yourself. Because once you accept yourself, like you'll say, oh, I actually contribute to the world. I actually worth knowing. I have at least one friend. Then you're going to be able to forgive yourself. Because sometimes it's like you don't forgive yourself. You feel like you're part of it, even you're the victim, right? But then that's the other version where you did something wrong and you regret it, and then you really have to forgive yourself, to say, like, say to your past, like, I understand that it was a bad decision, but from today on, I'm going to be different. I'm going to build new habit that going to cut away from that. So it's more like, when it's about something you've done before, to move forward is to have an action plan. To show you, like, when you have an action plan, you feel almost immediately better, because you are taking responsibility of it. the worst thing about regret is you don't take any action about the regret to
Mm-hmm.
make up something.
100%.
But not all the regret you can make up. But if not, then just too bad. You have to let go. Have to try not to hurt another person again.
Yeah. So
Uh,
Vivian, I wanted to ask you about let go of your past, right?
yeah.
So first thing that you would have to accept your past and kind of mind your friends of your past, things like this. What what would you, how would you identify that? How would you say about that? Of
How do I identify? So I'm scribbling. Let's say I'm using my own example. So
yeah, yeah.
I got yelled again at dinner table and blah 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 blah. I write all that, bring them on a piece of paper. Then when I reread again, I was like, I got yelled at the table. So what feeling I'm experiencing? I feel shame.
Mm-hmm.
Then as an adult looking back, I was like, that's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's not shameful. If
Mm-hmm.
I were in your parents' position, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then I've had a block say like, no, I really feel shameful. I'm worth nothing. Then I'll be like, okay, what kind of contribution have I made?
Mm-hmm.
So I would talk about, so, well, you were little, you didn't know that that would upset your parent. That
Yeah.
is like logical reason to give
Mm-hmm.
a reasonable answer. And then you can be like, and you did actually really care about your mom and dad because you always cling on them and you always want them to be near you. You just don't
Yeah.
know how to express that, so you were
Yep.
being a brat. So something like that. Or even more if they're in high schools, like you always a great friend to so and so, like you must have a best friend, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
or one
Right.
friend or one teacher that actually or like it was like say to your past like you actually good at doing math, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're not good for nothing. When your parents yell at you, they don't mean you're nothing, they just don't understand you.
Yeah.
So you see how that shift now, my past is becoming less of a negative thing. So I
Yeah.
started, now the next step is to forgive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
How you forgive yourself? That's exactly what. Yeah. That's what I want to ask you.
yeah, so okay, first forgive the parents first. Like,
Forgive for.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
I before I say they misunderstood you, they don't understand you. So you have to give the benefit of doubt that your parent does not know everything happened to you because they're busy as well. So you talk to your young child, you explain to them your parent is so busy, they probably didn't understand how to deal with you because they're first time parent and all that. Please forgive them. And it's like, I forgive them. You have to actually say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, I forgive myself too, because
Mm-hmm.
I know back then I don't mean to be a brat. You will tell the child, but now you, like I was telling the child she's not a brat, it was just because she doesn't understand how to love their parent, but you actually love their parent because they are hanging out with cleaning of them all the time. So for me right now as a child, I say to myself, I don't bring myself as a brat because um, back then I didn't understand as much what's going on with my parents. So I didn't mean to hurt my parents' feeling. But now I can forgive myself and also forgive my parents.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. It's really cool. I can share a short example of my own life, how it was so emotional to understand. I was going through discipleship training school. It was sort of missionary school, and one part of the training that I went through was basically the same thing. We had to write the paper, the list, but we have things are not forgiven, the things that is in our past, the things that is heavy on our life. So write down on that list. And while you're going down, every single, it's not like just only you, but there's like 30 people in the room. Okay. And every single one reads that. And then they read,
What?
yes, they read it out loud. You don't know they're gonna read, but reading out loud, and some of the things like was so emotional and so touching, people would cry, and so they take all these paper outside, and they don't know what's gonna happen, and so they would have a cross, a small cross, they will nail those things on the cross and set on fire. And it was so emotional, believe me or not, like literally you feel like those things are actually burning and then gone away.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like my short experience of how it was dealt with the past. Like literally you went over, it happened in the past. You got to forgive yourself, forgive and understand,
Yeah,
what's present.
that topic I would add to it is that after you do that, do burn the paper.
Yeah.
Don't read it anymore because you change your paradigm. You
Yeah.
change your thought already. So you don't need that anymore. And so to move forward to a new future, so now you forgive yourself, you have to
Yeah.
like, how do you break out the habit of thinking about it again? So to move forward, you have to identify your goal, your vision.
Yeah.
What do you want to get out of life? And just focus on it. And it's more like a problem solving approach aimed at forward. And because now you know you're worth something, now you can chase something forward and don't look back. This is the point where I would agree you don't look back because you're already done the forgiving. And
Yes.
from this point on, you just try to build better habit, train a better mindset, and set better goal, and build more realistic expectation, and have an accountability partner. And
Yeah.
all of those things is gonna help you to grow and achieve your goal.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter what occupation you're in, whether you're a business owner or if you're a professor, all equal the same. I mean, I can go into a bit more depth how you can do each of those things in how to build your future. But if I just teach you that without you dealing with your past and emotion, something is not gonna click. Either you didn't identify your block, maybe your block is money, but maybe your block is relationship, wherever it is, if it was not clear,
Yeah.
it doesn't really work. And then the last part is to stay in the moment, because
Yeah.
during
How you
um
stay in the moment. Yeah. How you
because
actually present there, to
yeah
go forward.
because lots of time in life is not just one obstacle,
Yeah.
and you have other obstacles, but when it came you still have to live, right? You cannot, like, let's say I'm sick, let's just say, oh, no, I have a heartbroken, let's just say like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just got rejected in a relationship, and feeling down, but I still have to do the gen. I still have to go to meeting and meet prospect, go to training, meet my business partner, and all that stuff. Life still go on.
Yeah.
The way I did it, every time I'm in the meeting, I'm only thinking about the meeting. If I'm in lead gen, I only think about lead gen. So
Mhm.
I'm focused on how can I use this time the best way to do lead gen. So from beginning to the end, I won't think of anything else but keep my mind focused on how to do it the best using my time I have.
And you
So
are
when
the best in that. I can testify in that. Stay
and
focused.
yeah, so like so that way, even though like at the beginning you will have some emotion, but when you try to focus every moment, you're trying to every moment to best perform in your goal. That your let's say you block your that's why you have to block your time, right? If
Yeah.
you didn't block your time, your entire day will thinking about yourself. But when you and also you have to like for everything you block them, think about who you're responsible for. For lead gen, I'm responsible for myself, but I'm also responsible for those I'm taking care of, let's say my mom. So
Hmm.
when you think about that, when the emotion come in or the negative thoughts come in, you say, I need to focus on lead gen in this hour. I have to best use this hour for lead gen because I'm responsible for that.
Yeah.
And then for business partner, it's even more easy. I'm responsible for business partner. I'm responsible for getting, whatever goal I'm hitting in the month. I'm responsible for reaching that goal.
Yeah.
Or you are like, you have to train some people. I'm responsible for those who getting their daily living from me. Our company cannot fall down because 20 people follow me as I have employee. I'm just saying example. I don't have 20 employee, but
Yeah.
And so every time you give yourself a reason, remind you why you do that thing in the day. If you cannot give your reason why you need to do that thing in the day, like you have nothing to be responsible for, don't do it. Just crap. Just erase it.
So yes, it's 100% there. I'm looking right now at the Little Prince, French Ledida Prince, written by, let's see, was April 1943, Anthony de Saint-Exupéry. So if you're familiar with that, that's exactly the idea of his entire book is, you know, you're responsible for those that you adopted. You're responsible for the one that you're taking care of. So that's a perfect book to read for those that, you know, have a little bit of responsibility, wanted to have a little more. So it's nice.
Actually, it's really good for anybody at any walk of life because
Yeah.
when you actually see yourself, you can take up responsibility. When you decide to take up the responsibility,
Yeah.
it's actually liberating because you will feel so much better because you're contributing instead of taking.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of mindset, right? Some people think responsibility is negative, but when you're being responsible, when you have something you are taking care of, you feel motivated. You feel like lively. You feel like you're worth more. Like we're talking about how you deal with your past, right? That's one of the things you can bring up to tell your child that you are actually taking responsibility. You actually is trying to make up your past mistake. You actually is taking action. I mean that we may not reach the point where we can make up the remorse or the regret that we have in life, but I'm moving forward in the direction I'm trying to live a life differently because of that. And I have a mission to tell everyone to avoid this mistake.
Yeah.
So that's how I would do if somebody actually have some regret they want to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of feeling down and think, take action, be responsible, and just tell the world about it, and you will change the world. Sometimes things happen, it's unfortunate, but God can make the best out of it because from now on, you know how to advise someone not to do the same mistake.
Yeah.
And so that was about it.
Okay. All right. So it's about, you know, the closing for today. And thank you so much for watching us. And we'll be with the other one. Bye, guys.